I'm due for a bit of a break from this game, and I am sort of announcing this on the top of explaining my reasonings for and why, and I'll get to that later, but War Thunder is exhausting sometimes. And I say this constantly. I've said this over the past 5 years. I've said this in countless videos. I've talked about this exhaustion. But I think this year has been generally the busiest year in War Thunder's history. Because of, well, multiple factors really. Not only am I producing more content than I ever have, but I'm also sort of expanding into other areas. And that's fantastic when you consider that War Thunder itself is a really good game. And they have been really proactive in adding fantastic content to the game. Whether or not the events themselves are good or not is subject to really a bit of a debate, but everything aside from the crafting events I've really quite enjoyed. The battle passes have been nice to keep you engaged, keep you playing, and daily tasks and daily logins and so on and so forth, but from what I gather, War Thunder doesn't really give you an option for a break. Of course it is a free-to-play game, you can stop any time you really want in that regard, of course. But there's been constant events on top of each other. Every 3 months there's usually a major update. Every 3 months there's a new battle pass. Every so often there is an Operation Summer, Operation Winter, and then there's your 2 crafting events per year. That's not excluding, obviously, your World War mode, your tournaments, and possibly squadron reward vehicles or sort of that kind of thing. And World War II Chronicles. So, there is a lot. Plus your one-day specials where they offer a premium vehicle or a vehicle that's no longer on sale, which they put as a part of a special. It just gets a bit much. And you're not even talking about decals or It's Fixed series or any of the other things. When you boil it down, this year has been possibly one of the busiest years of War Thunder's history ever. That includes all the events with the crafting and the April Fools and everything that goes into that. Not just looking back at the content, yeah, most of my content this year has been predominantly focused around event vehicles and new top-tier exclusives. That's not bad, but is it the content necessarily want to produce? I don't really know anymore. That's subject to a debate, but obviously the new content and the event vehicles are fantastic. Why? Because they keep people coming back. The Battle Pass is fantastic because it actively rewards active players. And obviously that goes a long way to keeping a stable player base. But at the expense of what? Every collector who wants to collect absolutely everything has to play basically 24/7. I mean, I know War Thunder is joked to be a bit of a part-time job, but in some regards I'm actually starting to believe that. Even though I don't necessarily play the game as much as I do anymore, it doesn't mean that that's a bad thing, right? There are proactive rewards for people who are playing the game long-term, and I think that in itself is a good idea. But there isn't really a break in between, if you understand what I mean. So you go from World War II Chronicles to World War mode, or you go from Battle Pass to having an Operation Summer at the same time, and then there isn't really a week or two separation between that. It just drops into the next thing, right? The Battle Pass doesn't end for 2 weeks and then give a break. It starts a fresh season of new content every single quarter. There are 4 Battle Passes, or 3 Battle Passes a year, or something like that. So you're looking at a total of what? There's maybe 4 vehicles in each Battle Pass. You're looking at quite a lot of vehicles. Then you've got maybe 6 in every Chronicles, because you want 1 aircraft, one ship, 1 tank. You want a low and high of each reward. And that's 2 times a year. Then you've got a crafting events, you want 2, maybe 3 vehicles for that. You could be totaling around 32 to 35 vehicles per year that are just event-based. That's minus exclusives that come out once a year for specials. For example, you've got Valentine's Day, where they might bring out the Russian Land-Lease Valentine, which is a brilliant vehicle which no one really plays. So there's that. Other times they might have a special on an aircraft because it's a certain aircraft designer's birthday, or it might be a special event like an anniversary of an Air Force or something along those particular lines. Still, when you take a look back at it, there's a lot of content to really consume, and in and itself is kind of a bit based, if I can call it that. It's really unfortunate because the casual player won't be able to unlock everything unless they're playing the Battle Pass casually, which is fine. But for the other events on top of this, and with content coming out every 3 months, and free-to-play content coming out every 3 months, new jets, new tanks, new just everything, it can get a little bit overwhelming. and obviously there is plenty of time between regular updates, but when you combine the events on top of everything else, it's hard to really justify the time investment, considering that you might have work, you might have school, you might have university, you might have other commitments in the real world. And I understand it's a free-to-play game, and Gaijin needs to make their money, but in saying that, if the player base is only on average playing for an hour a day, you don't really have a lot of time to really grind out a lot of these things. You won't have time to other than doing maybe your dailies or playing your favourite type of vehicle. There isn't really much else you can do. That's where I kind of throw a bit of a spanner in the works, because when you combine that with the way that they balance matchmaking and their algorithm that they use to determine battle ratings and balance in the game, of course they want you to get out in more matches more frequently, because the longer you're in a match, the more you'll learn. But they also want to put you out in more matches so that, you get things going a bit better. So the whole compression, the balance, the way the game works, functions, and most importantly, the way that the community reacts to these things are vastly different to what you might expect. Between the toxicity and the community drama and all sorts of feedback issues and the game's alternate issues that it has many of, it can be quite draining. When you're looking at the whole subject from, a get-go, you are supposed to have fun, right? This game is about having fun, and I get it. People will only play a select few vehicles that they have fun in occasionally. Maybe they'll only play for a limited amount of time. And they might actually go out and grind those vehicles if they have an incentive to, for example, go and play or unlock a certain tier vehicle and go, well, I'm going to play today to unlock that. But that's not the majority. Some of us just play the game just to waste time, There isn't really an in-between game like War Thunder. It's an arcade simulation. It has everything you need to at a casual pace, in a realistic pace as well. And I suppose that's why we keep coming to play back, which is what I've mentioned before. But really, the developers don't really give us a chance to really just settle and let us just breathe for a moment. That's one of my biggest complaints about this year's just sort of rollout of events and battle passes and so on and so forth. And yeah, sure, it would have been nice to have nicer vehicles, but they essentially are giving away free content, right? So in hindsight, unless it's completely and utterly broken, would you want your vehicles to be broken on purpose? Would you like them to be EBR-like? Would you like them to be Object 279-like when they first came out? It's inevitable that that's going to happen, but it's better that they're copy-paste and worse versions than what we have in regular Tech Tree. And I don't even think it's the vehicles themselves that are the issue here. More just the time spacing. I know that you guys work in a quarter-based system. Every company does. That's how the world works. First quarter you go and you prepare content and you come back from holidays after, the New Year celebrations. Then quarter two you publish most of the content you possibly can. Quarter three you do updates and maybe you publish more content or announce some new fancy features that you're going to publish in the next quarter. And the cycle really rinses and repeats. But from a development point of view, don't change what you're going to do, Gaijin. I sincerely hope that you do space them out a little bit more. But from a player's perspective, and for someone who has to create content on these types of vehicles, it can be a bit draining, especially when it comes to making regular content. If it means that I'm having less fun because I have to do a review, that is time taken away from actually making a quality video rather than just a quick, hey, look at this new Battle Pass vehicle, or hey, look at this new shiny vehicle. Because at the end of the day, people are collecting these vehicles at mass because, well, it's trendy to play War Thunder for 8 years. And it's also trendy to have all of the rare exclusive vehicles, which someday I will actually have, but I don't know. It's a bit weird. Which brings me to my last and final point. It's good to take a break. War Thunder is a game which is always going to be out there. I don't think this game is going anywhere. The player base has been higher than ever. Population and player activity is higher than ever before. Content on YouTube is taking a bit of a toll. It's taking a bit of a dip as YouTube goes through its various fluctuations in whether it's changing algorithm or audiences changing and so on and so forth. But for the most part, the wider community, outside of being, gamer-like and excited about new content and always intrigued by changes that the developers make, we do deserve breaks occasionally. And I think that's really important to address that, and it's really important to take a step back and go, Yeah, it's a video game. It's a good video game. And it's important to remember to have fun. I know fun and War Thunder don't necessarily go together. You can tell those and other jokes to you and yourself, but more importantly, you have to have at least some resemblance of fun. I know, fun and War Thunder don't necessarily go together at all. In fact, they don't go together, but for the most part, we keep coming back to play the game. We keep coming back to enjoy the game, even if it's just wasting time or procrastinating or just having a bunch of fun flying your favourite vehicle. We come back because there isn't a game like it. I think that really hurts War Thunder's back end. Ultimately, they have the market here, and any other competitor that comes forth is ultimately compared to either this or more arcade or more simulation titles that are out on the market. And this, as an industry standard, well, that is pretty good for a free-to-play game when you take a look back at things. And speaking of taking a bit of a back look, I think it's time that I address the elephant in the room. I've been playing War Thunder for 8 years. I'm not done with it just yet. In fact, you know, I've just recently reached 50,000 subscribers, but if you're producing content for this game, if you're making videos for this game, remember to look after yourself. You know, it's vitally important. I think that every now and then a break is good for your health, it's good to cleanse yourself. I'm going to be taking a bit more of a ad hoc bit of a break until the new patch comes out, at least until the dev servers are open, before I can show you some new content. So whenever that will be, mid-November, maybe even early November, who knows at this rate. We've got the War Thunder sales, but for now, at least until the new patch is dropped, I'm going to be taking a bit of an extended break from the game. And I mean, this could be good. This could reinvigorate the channel. Of course, I'll still produce a video once a week about War Thunder. But until then, I'm going to be on the back foot and I'm going to be enjoying, I guess, just taking a bit of a chill. You know, mentally and physically, it's a bit of tolling. I've talked about this in previous videos. Not every creator is the same, so I'm going to pump out content like no tomorrow, but if you are a content creator, look after your mental health. You know, burnout is real. If you're a regular player or a player who plays too much War Thunder, why don't reevaluate where you're at? You know, do you need to be doing something better? Do you need to, you know, invest more time in learning how to code or doing something better, graphic design or art, or do you need to be doing better at math? There are many different things that you could be doing to improve your life. And I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. War Thunder isn't a bad thing to waste your time on. It's better than doing, you know, hardcore drugs or watching Spitflyers videos. I'm kidding, I love you, Spit. But more importantly, you know, take the time to play with others and enjoy it while you can. No, I don't think War Thunder's going anywhere. I don't think War Thunder is going to die anytime soon. I don't think the player base is going to die or anything really happen to the player base at all. Honestly, we're in for a rough ride, and I plan to at least play until my 10 years, or my 10-year anniversary. So yeah, while it is an interesting topic, I do think that War Thunder is pushing the content a little too hard. That's not necessarily a bad thing at all, as I've explained in this video. It's just such an interesting topic. If you were to have a Venn diagram and look at it from a player's perspective, a content creator's perspective, the developer's perspective, it just gets, oh my goodness, it gets a little messy. You know, I always think of myself as someone who likes to look at the world view of the situation. I always like to put myself in different perspective and different shoes. Helps me understand what I'm trying to convey here, and hopefully in today's video you've got a sense of that, and hopefully that you guys understand what I'm trying to explain and talk about here. I'm not complaining. I am not actually mad at Gaijin for having these events. There's no reason to be angry, there's no reason to be sad. I quite enjoy these kind of things, and these kind of discussions are helpful to work out what the community really thinks, right? Because ultimately, my question to you is, do you think there are too many events in the game? Or are there not enough? What kind of things would you like to see improve that might, you know, help you play the game either more or less? Either way doesn't necessarily bother me. But yeah, that about brings it to a wrap. If you haven't already seen my setup tour video and you want to see what my gaming setup looks like, as well as my other various trinkets and historical collection of postcards and all sorts of other things, go watch the video that's linked in the cards above. If you're interested in other content, I stream a couple of times a week on Twitch, and yeah, I think that's about it. Of course, thank you very much to the patrons, the Twitch subscribers, and everyone else. You make my world spin very fast. I really, really appreciate everyone. And a huge thank you to everyone for 50,000 subscribers. It means the world to me. I still haven't got over the fact that I've got 50k. You know, this whole entire week has been me celebrating, and I'm here cracking cold ones with the boys and having a great old time. So I hope to see you soon. I'm going to go enjoy a War Thunder break, you know? Wow. A break from a game I've been playing, and this is the only thing I've known for the last few years. It'll be a good break, I can tell you that much. All right. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ash. Catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.